Okay, this is a good question. Okay, your daughter has a 504 with small group testing. She's in eighth grade. Currently, you're told that the only location to pull her for small group testing is in the ISS room, which is in school suspension, with other students present. You tried this, but your student failed, or your daughter failed the test due to the misbehavior in the classroom, not to mention it's affecting her self esteem. You taught special education, never heard of this even being discussed as a viable option for small group anything. Um, I would absolutely agree with you on a couple of levels. Number one, ISS is a completely different environment intended for to be punitive. All right, it's not some quiet. They like to say that, but there are children in there for a specified reason. You got to look at it the same way as they do psychological evaluations. Okay, in order for a psychological evaluation to be viable, all right, to where it's presented to the team. There's all those conditions that the school psychologist or the psychologist or the psychometrist has to sit there and explain in the very beginning that the temperature was optimal, the child was comfortable, the child was engaged, it was a quiet setting. They sort of had to explain what was going on around the child to create an optimal setting in order for them to sit there and say, these scores are accurate or reliable. I'd have to say reliable, not necessarily accurate. Okay? So using that same idea or theory or use of deduction and reason, it would apply to creating an optimal environment for your child's small group setting testing, which an ISS room does not meet that. Therefore, any resulting impact on your daughter with regards to her self-esteem, because she's going to interpret it in her child mind, even if she's in eighth grade, that this is a punitive environment. People are going to see her walking in and out of that environment. They don't need to be seeing that, because the other thing is under FERPA, that sort of gives the idea that she has a plan, okay? And that's something that we don't need other kids really knowing about. And having her go into a room that's punitive or with the peers that may have big mouths, I can see where it could impact her self-esteem. So they need to find a different environment, and one that meets that same kind of standard and threshold that we apply to evaluations. And I would use that same logic with your administration, because even under 504, your daughter is entitled to a free and appropriate public education as it's defined in that manner, and or defined in the manner of 504, which is very similar to IDEA in special education. But having her test in a punitive setting is having a negative and detrimental impact, therefore denying her her right to a free and appropriate public education. They need to find a different setting.